yesterday talking about all the drama between Daonte and Addy, and I want to continue covering some receipts I didn't cover in my last video in this video. And there are a few things that Daonte responded to that I want to cover. Daonte responded to the claims that Addy made when she claimed that the last time that Daonte came to see their son, I believe it was last week, she was claiming that he just came and got the baby for like 20 minutes, went live with the baby, and then dropped the baby off right afterwards. But Daonte showed me the receipts that show that he had the baby, and she was texting him like 40 minutes later asking him if he was still at the food court with the baby. It does look like he was able to spend about an hour and a half or so, 2 hours with the baby in total. And he claims the reason that he wasn't able to spend longer with the baby is because Addy had to work that night, so she had to drop her son off with her grandma at 4 p.m. And then I guess Addy ended up messaging this girl. I'm not sure if this is a girl or a guy. I'm assuming this is a girl. But these messages got back to Daonte. And this is back when Addy was with Daonte, and after she had his baby, and after she found out that he had been talking to Nicole, Addy said, "Girl, that part. I quit my job, so I'm basically relying on him. Girl, Daonte threw me out the car in Virginia Beach and drove off and screamed at me on my birthday, and I was 6 weeks pregnant." And then the girl was like, "Yeah, I lost my job. I haven't worked since my son." And Addy said, "Girl, I broke his iPad when I caught him." And she said he was talking to a girl. And I guess the night that she got arrested, when they got into that big fight, she tried to break his PS5. I don't know if she was successful, but she definitely grabbed it and chucked it across the room, according to Daonte. Addy said, "Girl, it's okay because when my ex get brought into it, it's going to be funny." And then this girl said they can't handle the heat at all. And Addy said, "Oh yeah, I'm petty. And he won't even know what I've done. Hell no, they can't. Girl, the only reason I'm still here is because I don't want to work and I want to heal from having a baby." She said, "I tried to leave him. I stayed so I can be taken care of." And this girl says, "I don't blame you. What was his excuse for talking to her?" And she said that he needed to vent. The girl said, "Oh, hell no." And she said, "Girl, I done called my ex and done some trifling shit. I don't give a F." And this girl said, "You think he was talking about you?" And she said, "Yeah, probably, but I don't give a F. If we split, I get child support for 18 years, so." And this girl said, "Facts." And she says, "Right, he definitely is going to be broke as F if we split. Then I ain't even going to deal with him and I still get that money. So either way." What? I mean, if he's not making a bunch of money, especially like right now where he's not even employed, she would probably not get much for child support anyways. It's not going to be life-changing money, the money she does get from child support. Then I ain't even got to deal with him and I still get the money, so either way. And this girl said it comes out automatically wherever they work. And she said, "Oh, I know. How much does your man pay?" And this girl was like, "Oh, he pays $200 for 2 kids. And this had Daonte questioning Addy's true intentions to begin with for getting with him. I don't know. I think that she really did love him, just because it did seem like she was pretty obsessed with him, like especially at the beginning. But I think just like Addy had some misunderstandings when it comes to like child support is going to be life-changing, I think she had some misunderstandings when it came to getting with Daonte, and I think she kind of lived in this fantasy world and thought, okay, I'm going to get with this guy on TV, he's going to have all this money. And Daonte even said that when she first got with him, she got really upset because he wasn't balling all out on her like he was with Nicole on TV. And she's like, "Damn, you must not like me that much if you're not doing all that you were doing for Nicole for me." But the thing was, Daonte met Addy at a time where he was not in a good place financially. His checks were getting garnished. He was dealing with lawsuits. He was just evicted from his place with Cece. I think she underestimated how much that he truly made from the show. I think she thought he had like 6 figures or something that he had earned from the show, when in reality the show doesn't pay that much, and how much money he had spent on Nicole and traveling and everything else. And I don't think she understood exactly what his financial situation was going into that. Addy did make accusations that the night that she was arrested. She claims that Daonte started choking her out when he was trying to get out the door, and she ended up biting him, and that's why she was arrested. And Daonte claims that he did not choke her out, and that would be impossible because he had his baby in one hand and he was trying to unlatch the door with his other hand. And he claims that that's not the first time that Addy has became physical with him. And then Addy, posted that she couldn't have a natural birth because she claims that he infected her with something from Nicole. And she commented that again under one of my posts. She said he didn't add in there that he gave me herpes that he caught from Nicole. Then Daonte said, so this is the game that we're going to play now. I can't see my child at all, huh? Cool beans. I got everything I need. We'll do it that way. And then he decided to share the messages that he found when he originally found out that Addy was talking to another man. So she had moved down to Myrtle Beach, and I guess it all happened when she had been warning him for a while that she wanted to leave, and then finally she decided to, and she drove her car down there, and I guess he drove the U-Haul down there. And originally she was supposed to just go down there and get help from her grandma so she could work and have help with the baby and be closer to family. And he acted like they were going to stay together, but they were just going to have space from each other because they were just in a really bad place in their relationship. And they thought that this was going to bring them closer together. But she ends up going to Myrtle Beach, and she got this Airbnb. And he ended up going down to this Airbnb and helped her drop off all her stuff there. And then he ended up going back on Valentine's Day, like 2 weeks later. And when he went to the Airbnb, he immediately knew that something was off because he said that nothing had been moved in her Airbnb. Everything was in the same exact spot that it was in weeks ago. So he could tell that Addy hadn't even been at the Airbnb. And then it came out that he learned that she was messing around with her manager at the strip club she was working at, and she was going over and spending all her time at his house. But I guess she still kept the Airbnb just because, and Daonte decided to go through her phone while she was sleeping, and that's when he found these messages. She told him being secretive is kind of a thrill, and then she said, we have a problem, and he said, what's wrong? And she said, happy Valentine's Day, sexy. He wished her a happy Valentine's Day, and then she said, you better not jack my customers. And he said, I think they're scared of you. And she said, she's trying you. Do you want to eat my coochie? I had to say it. You need to pound me. So she's sending this man all sorts of dirty messages. And then I guess this was after Daonte went on social media and revealed that Addy had this 48-year-old man that she was talking to. And she said, I don't appreciate you publicly humiliating me over some sexual text messages. This has gotten out of hand. Social media is going to ruin your life. Daonte said, okay, and the industry is going to ruin your life. And she said, okay, but Valentine's Day is ruined because this all went down on Valentine's Day. And she said, we can add that to the list of holidays that we can't get along for. I was genuinely so shocked that you just up and left. I would have just come to work and you could have at least spent time with DJ, and you can feel however you'd like to feel about what you saw. Then apparently after he ended up leaving, she was sending him messages, and she's like, I don't want to break up. I'll do whatever it takes, I guess. I've always loved you more than anything. And she's like, I miss you. I miss being home. I'm not letting you go anywhere. I'll beat the shit out of you with a bat. Oh my God. And she said, why were you on social media talking about our custody issues? Not arguing, but keep that offline for the love of God. And she said, leave my grandma's name off your lie because I will embarrass the F out of your mama and put all her business out there. She said, and take your GoFundMe and go somewhere else with your unemployed broke ass. Your name is no longer on his birth certificate after next week, so dogfight me. You've never raised him either. I see him 10 times more than you do. Don't ever insult me as a mother. Daonte said, the only reason that I'm not able to see him is because you and your freaking grandma took him. And I'm going to try to summarize a lot of these posts because it's a lot that was posted. But she's like, I don't care what you have to say, and you can see him whenever you want. I never threaten you. She said me and him are getting married, so he's gonna be around him at some point. And Daonte was like, I don't care about you, I only care about my boy. And she's like, you can lose my number, I don't have to communicate with you, and you can sign your rights away. She said it's a shame that you can't put your feelings to the side, and she was suggesting that Daonte sign his rights away so her new man can sign, I guess, custody or his rights to be the father of DJ instead of Daonte. And I'm glad Daonte refused to go for that. Then Addy said it's a real shame that you can't put your feelings aside for DJ. You haven't talked to him in about a week, and you're more concerned about who is around me than speaking to DJ. And Daonte was like, say that BS for somebody else. And then Daonte went off on Addy. He's like, and I look horrible? Baby, you're no more than 100 pounds soaking wet, and you look crusty and like you're coked out. He said that's probably why you never had any money when I was there. And then he shared a phone call recording of Addy where she admitted that she had done coke in this recording. I didn't save the recording, I did take a screenshot of the post. And then Addy was like, you can lose my number, I don't have to communicate with you, you can sign your rights away and let someone who actually wants to be a dad be his dad. Nobody gives a F about you or your little girlfriend, and DJ doesn't need you or your family's charity. Then Addy told him, I know you're trying to get evidence of me keeping him from you for court, never kept him from you. And she said, and you know, maybe I do know the reason for your seizure. Maybe because your blunt was laced with coke. Daonte said, I don't F with that shit, you do. I roll all my own damn blunts, so ain't no way in F that ever happened. Don't try to put your behavior on me. And then she's like, you're the one texting me. Matter of fact, DJ is moving in with me today as we speak, and that's why I'm here. I already have a babysitter. And this was after Daonte was like, you never even have your baby. Your baby's always with your grandmother. And then they went back and forth going off on each other, and she was pretty much telling him, I decided being with a man with money is so much less stressful than being with a man who's in debt. Addy better be careful what she's saying, because, you know, she was talking about, oh, Daonte's mom's on Section 8. She lives in a broke down shack and she works at Marshall's. But the thing is, if something was to happen to where she couldn't dance ever again, like say she was to break her leg or something, then she could very easily be in the same situation. I mean, she doesn't have any skills, or she hasn't been to school. And when she did decide to stop dancing for a while, she kind of was struggling figuring out what she wanted to do moving forward. Like, she was talking about trying to get her CNA and stuff like that, but she never did anything like that. I think I shared these already. These were messages from Addy telling Daonte that he better get his friend Jakima and check her so she leaves her alone. And then she told him this is where she told Daonte, at least my grandma don't work at Marshall's and live in a shack. These messages were from a few weeks ago when they were beefing before he exposed all this stuff. And Addy was telling him, if you want to see DJ, we're going to have to go through the courts. But he was able to see DJ after this conversation last week. I feel like she wasn't planning on keeping him. I think she was just pissed off and saying that. And then she was going off on Daonte for not taking up with her between her fight with Jakima. She's like, you never taken up for me. But I mean, neither one of them, Addy didn't have to keep giving gasoline to that argument with Jakima. She could have just left it alone, and Jakima would eventually left it alone. Or she could have just apologized for what she said about her kids. Jakima said she would have stopped if she would have just been willing to apologize for that. Daonte was like, yeah, looks like Lindsay had something to say about the situation. And then Addy said, and my man got more money than Chad, talking about Lindsay's husband. And then here's just more of them fighting. I don't want to read out every single thing. If you guys want to read all these arguments word for word, then you can pause and read them. But then he shared the audio recordings. Like I said, this is a call with Addy. And here's part of the description where she called James her sugar daddy, and then she said, yeah, and you just sat there and took the other girl. Okay, I don't know what else she was saying, but she pretty much called James her sugar daddy and admitted to Daonte that she had done cocaine. She's like, yeah, I don't know if I should tell you or not because I don't want you to use this against me. And he's like, how can I use it against you? And she's like, I don't know. And she's like, but I did do cocaine one night at the strip club. Then Addy said, just look up Daquan Sierra, Broward County. And his cousin was arrested, and he begged me not to talk about it. He effed his 17-year-old student, and Daonte backed him up and said she shouldn't have been fast because I would have smashed too. And then Addy shared a conversation from Daonte's tablet that she found, and she said, I had the number covered, but I cheated. This is his iPad while I was working postpartum, asking bitches for nudes. She's pretty much saying, oh, I need to find something to do. And Daonte was like, oh, how about you play with yourself and send me a video of it? And she's like, no, I actually am really upset. I need to get some things off my chest. And Daonte's like, oh, what's wrong? And she's like, my boyfriend has been lying to me. So he knew this girl had a boyfriend. And then she goes on venting about her situation. But Addy claims that she found conversations with Nicole on his tablet, and these conversations when she went through his tablet. And then I guess she said, no, love, someone kept reporting my shit on IG and they got it taken down. I have a new one. And he said, that's crazy, but yeah, it happens. No worries, I was just wondering. And she's like, how are you, Big Poppy? And he's like, I'm tired. I love being a dad. My little guy's everything. And he says, I'm still not happy with the mom and everything. And now it's gotten worse since he's been here. Like a power struggle, basically. But bonding with him makes me happy at least. I still want to come up that way for real, for real. And she said, well, bring your ass. We're going to go to the sandbar and drink and play in volleyball. And he said, I'm down maybe next weekend or the weekend after Labor Day. I'll definitely let you know. I miss you, though. I think we have pretty much covered everything. It was a lot these past few days that they leaked, and it's pretty much they just leaked everything, spilling all of each other's dark secrets all at once. And I just wanted to cover that, and I'm curious what you guys think about all this. I'm going to end this with my final thoughts about the situation. You know, I think Daonte's been pretty confused why some people have been as hard on him lately about the situation. And the thing is, they both did wrong. I mean, I feel like he was the one that got busted first talking to Nicole and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard to feel bad for their relationship falling apart when they both did things to contribute to the decline of the relationship. But I do feel like he needs to stop getting with these young women, because it's harder to make excuses for Daonte because he's older. Like Addy, we see her and we're seeing how she's handling these conflicts, and it's really showing her age at times. But people are going to put Daonte at a higher standard because he's older. He has more life experience and more awareness to not make bad decisions. Like, you know, if you're 20 years old and you get arrested versus getting arrested at 40 years old, it's just not the same. When you're younger, your brain's not fully matured. Like, I know women, they don't even fully mature until they're 25, and she just turned 20 years old. He was her very first adult relationship, and he literally has double the years of life experience than her. So he's going to have to accept it. He's going to continue getting with young girls. He's going to have to accept how they act and how they handle situations, and when their age really comes to light, when they're handling conflict like Addy did in this situation. And I did watch an interview that Daonte recently did, and between this and how he's been on social media, not this past day, I feel like he's kind of handled things a lot better this past day, but like leading up to like this past week, I feel like what he has a bad habit of doing is over explaining himself, and I think that does the opposite of what he wants it to do. Like, he would be asked about things and decisions that he made, and he would take like 5 minutes sometimes explaining things, and I feel like the longer he took to explain things, the less it seemed like he was taking accountability, and the more that just came across as justification, and like he was trying to rationalize and dance around the core issues instead of addressing the problems head on. And I think that makes people trust him less when he does things like that. And it makes me scared, because when he's like over explaining things like with Nicole and him talking to Nicole and stuff like that, it comes across as, okay, you're trying to minimize the damage in case you do this again, and trying to make people understand, oh, well, he did this because he was going through it, or because he vented, instead of just being like, you know what, I messed up, I shouldn't have done that, and I'm not going to do it again. I feel like short, clear accountability when addressing core issues will feel more genuine with people and make people be more understanding about the situation. And I even told Daonte that, and he did agree. And I feel like this man has got to get some counseling or do something about this hold that he has on Nicole. He claims she doesn't have a hold on him. I'm not buying it one bit. I think Daonte does not need to talk to another girl or waste another female's time until he is 100% content and accepting that he will never see Nicole again a day in his life, and he can stick true to that. If that scares him and he feels like there's a chance he can't do that, then he doesn't need to be wasting anybody's time at all. He always says, oh, I want Nicole in my life. Well, she's been in my life for so long. We're friends. But the thing is, if you're wanting to get into a relationship with somebody, it's one thing like having Nicole where she hits you up from time to time and sees how you've been, like, hey, it's been 6 months, how's life treating you? That's one thing. But it's a whole different thing when you decide to vent about your current relationship with Nicole or to Nicole, or if you decide to go hang out with her in person. And I think that Daonte needs to accept that if I'm going to get in a relationship, I cannot ever see Nicole again. I mean, maybe they might run into each other at the dollar store. That's something completely different. But if he's not willing to accept that and set boundaries where they don't do anything beyond talking, and he needs to be upfront with whoever he dates, like, hey, just to let you know, Nicole hits me up from time to time from mystery numbers, and I will text back because we do have a friendship. He needs to let his partner know up front, so they're not in for some random surprise when they decide to go through your iPad one night, like what happened with Addy. He should not have any kind of correspondence with Nicole. And if he does get into a relationship, I think he needs to get approval from his girlfriend first. And if she does give approval for them to talk and like check in through text messages, then I think that girlfriend needs to be part of the whole process. Anytime that Nicole texts, I think the girlfriend needs to know. She needs to see the messages, and she needs to be made aware. And if this is something that you feel like you have to hide and do behind her back, then this is something you shouldn't be doing to begin with. But I have a hard time that any girl is going to be okay with him having a relationship with Nicole, just because the fact that she has literally ruined his last 2 serious relationships, whether he likes to admit that or not. CC found naked pictures of Nicole on Daonte's phone, and Addy found out that Daonte was talking to Nicole, and she claims other stuff. He claims that they didn't do anything else. I don't know. But regardless, the fact that he wasn't able to make the boundaries and do what he needed to do in the past, I have a hard time any girlfriend being accepting of that in the future. But that's it for this video, guys. I do hope that Addy is able to have a good co-parenting relationship with Daonte, and they just need to leave all their feelings aside and just strictly keep their conversations about DJ and nothing else. Like, yeah, keep it short and sweet. Like, maybe if you want to vent about work sucking or something like that, or something that happened recently, but they don't need to be like super close like they once were. They do have to keep boundaries between each other as well in order to have a healthy co-parenting relationship. And I hope that they can just make DJ the prime focus and everything. But that's it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.